Hello, everybody. Welcome to URBONUS podcast. I'm Donatas URBONUS, and I'm joined by my colleague Rytis Vyšniauskas. Rytis, first of all, congratulations with the end of the Olympic basketball tournament. That was a long ride for you too. I know that it's not the end yet for you, and I see from your face that you would be glad to have that break after the Olympics. But yeah, at least it's going to the end, right?
Yes, finally. I will get some sleep next week. I will rest. I will prepare for the upcoming season. And it was a great experience for me. But as you can probably hear it in my voice, a lot of fatigue, a lot of lost sleep, and especially today, the final, the gold medal games, so early in the morning. It was so hard to get up, but it was worth it. We had some great basketball today, so I'm happy about it.
Yeah, we had some great basketball both in gold medal and bronze medal games, but probably we should start with the recent one, which was also very unusual that we witnessed the gold medal game at first, and just later we saw the bronze medal game. Huge congratulations for Australian basketball community. Again, it was a fully deserved victory, the first ever medal on the international stage, and of course Patty Mills' 42-point historical performance, which led Australia to a very, very important win for their country. What are your first thoughts about Australia? Because I know, and you also told it publicly, that it was probably your most favorite team before the tournament.
Yes, it was, and actually, I was predicting the American final versus France, and I was predicting that Australians will take the bronze medal finally. First of all, because of their experience. Secondly, because of their mentality. And Slovenians maybe were still crushed after Nikola Batum's block on Klemen Prepelic, and they were not really focused on the game. All those unnecessary discussions with the referees. Luka Doncic was not leading by example today. He was not a good leader today, it has to be said. And not only because of those turnovers, he was tired, I can understand that, but his body language, his constant blabbering to the referees and always complaining all around, it was not good for the team, actually. And I was kind of disappointed with Luka in this game. But looking at this Australian team, my first thought was when I saw Patty Mills in the very first possessions, and I saw all these other guys that probably they had a speech from Patty, he's a captain, from Joe Ingles, maybe he's a veteran, maybe even Aaron Baines, who is injured. And I believe they said to each other, there's no chance, there's 0% chance that we lose this game. This is our game, this is our medal, and we are going to take it. Because they were so focused, so concentrated, there was nothing that could really break them down. Luka was trying to trash talk with Dante Exum. There were a lot of things, and they just did not care. They played their basketball the Australian way. We saw the beauty of the Australian basketball culture in this game, in this tournament. We saw the phenomena of Olympic Patty Mills and other guys with this great chemistry. And I was really impressed with Matisse Thybulle, I have to say. He is a super athletic player. He's very smart. His defensive abilities are really amazing. And his athleticism is off the charts. The high-flying performance today, those dunks on fast breaks, putbacks, wow. Also, of course, defense. What he did and what team as a whole did, it was really, really worthy of respect. So I'm kind of happy for Australians. They won the medal they deserved in the past. They deserve to win it actually in Rio Olympics, it has to be said. Maybe they even deserve in 2019 World Cup. So it's good that they finally have it. It's Patty Mills is one of my favorite international players. As you know, I'm a big fan of the San Antonio Spurs and Coach Popovich. So Patty was an integral part of this team for 9 years. And yeah, I'm just kind of happy for them and a little bit disappointed with the Slovenians because in this game, they seemed like bad losers, really, and it all started from Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I was expected much better performance from Slovenia because when it takes motivation, I thought that it's gonna be very, let's say, highly motivated game because as you mentioned, it was the chance for Australia to win their first medal ever. And also, it was a chance for Slovenia, which actually played in their first Olympics ever, also to win that medal. And when you have such a leader like Luka Doncic, everything was really possible. The way they played, it was really possible to get that bronze medal. And I loved Slovenia. I enjoyed their game during the tournament. But as soon as they started refereeing, not playing, I couldn't watch them really. I've got tired of Slovenians complaining about refs. You mentioned, and I agree with you, probably they were tired too, but this is not the way, not the face you should show on the Olympic stage, and especially by Luka Doncic. I remember there were two huge examples how this rage against referees turned out to be a very bad idea for Slovenia. First of all, just before the halftime, when Luka Doncic tried, to get that foul, and when he was, let's say, trying to do something like a 3-pointer, and he wanted a foul, and then after the refs didn't make the call, Australians started their transition game. There were like 5 seconds left, and Luka just stopped playing, and he started discussing it with referees. And Matisse Thybulle just made one of his incredible dunks in that game. And also, what surprised me a lot, how Jaka Blažić lost his control in the second game in a row, and the first one was in semifinals with 5 minutes left, when he was yelling at referees and he got technical. And then once again, when Jaka Blažić got an unsportsmanlike foul when he pushed Patty Mills, again with 5 minutes left. And what was bad that, Slovenia, it seemed like they were getting back into the game, but that unsportsmanlike foul changed the momentum again, and Australians bowled their lead. So, that was very, very bad example how you should play games of that kind of importance. Doncic was just, distorted with rage, and he needs to mature because he's just wasting too much energy. But that's also understandable. He played 73 NBA games in the last 6 months. He averaged, more than 35 minutes. He averaged 40 minutes in the postseason. He also, I think that he was he played the most minutes in the Olympic tournament among the teams which made the knockout stage. And, there's a huge difference between regular 35 minutes and, between Doncic minutes, because, he's always trying to attack the basket. He's always getting that defensive pressure. And it's really hard, for him to stay fresh during his time on the court. So I can get it. I can get it also that he's only 22 and he will get over it. But in my eyes, it was a huge lesson for Luka Doncic because, with this FIBA, we can say that, Luka is still very young. Mike Tobey is also pretty young. Latko Čančar also, he's just getting matured. But the thing is that with this FIBA calendar, you never know when you're when you're making the highest stage tournaments in FIBA tournaments. World Cup, they missed the World Cup as European champions. They made the Olympics just through the qualification stage. So you cannot take these tournaments for granted, and it might be a huge lesson for Doncic and Slovenia national team.
Yeah, in this case, the Australians are in a much better situation because for them to qualify for the Olympics, it's almost automatic. They just have to be in the World Cup and be better than New Zealand. And New Zealand at the moment is not really good. So it's easier for them, of course. For Slovenia to qualify is difficult. As you said, with the FIBA system, Luka cannot help the team in these qualifying windows, but still staying in this game. You mentioned Jaka Blažić, and it's actually funny. He got Slovenia back into the game with a couple of plays. He was good on defense on these two occasions when Delavedova got the offensive foul against him, when Patty Mills took the unsportsmanlike foul, then Blažič scored a layup, then Prepelic added a layup, and I believe they cut the deficit to 3. And at this point, it seemed like Jaka Blažič actually provided the spark for Slovenia to once again play their basketball and actually get that bronze medal. But then, as you said, he pushed Patty Mills. It was stupid what he did, really. It was unnecessary. And of course, the referee was standing so close to him. He saw everything perfectly clear, and he gave an unsportsmanlike foul. And yeah, so Patty Mills got 2 extra free throws. And still talking about Luka, well, we must admit that besides his emotions and everything, he was worn out. He was so tired. His arm was injured. He was playing with an injured arm, and these things also do damage. Even though you're a genius, you're so talented, but you are still dependent on your body, on your physical abilities. And he did not have much left in him for this game. And we also saw in the semifinal, even though he got that triple-double, but there were so many problems for him against the defense of Nicolas Batum and the French team. So I think in this bronze medal game, we saw another thing which we were saying in previous podcasts, that Slovenia plays beautiful basketball, but they are not a defensive team. They're not very tough on defense. They're not as physical as Australians. And Australia had the better defense. And they had, more muscle and at the same time more brain, more experience, of course. I really like Joe Ingles, how he played in the second half. Let's say in the first half, the shots were not falling for him. We know he can be a good shooter. He's actually rated in the NBA as an elite spot-up shooter. His percentages, his numbers are not so good in the FIBA tournaments, but however, he hit 4 3-pointers in the second half, and these were very important shots when Slovenians were trying to make their comebacks. And guys like Nick Kay, like Jock Landale, they also did their part. Dante Exum, everyone who stepped up to this game, they did something for the team. I would say that Matthew Dellavedova, maybe he had a weak tournament. It was not the best of what we saw in the past from Matthew, but still, Australians, they lose as a team and they win as a team. It was really beautiful to see Patty Mills with tears in his eyes. From all these guys, he deserved the medal so much. We remember him being a young player coming from NCAA to the Beijing Olympics. We didn't know much about Patty at that point. And in Beijing, he was great. That was the first we saw of Patty Mills, what he can do on the court. And then he got his move to Portland. Maybe it didn't work out so well with the Trailblazers, but in San Antonio, he found his place. He found his home. He was amazing in London Olympics. In Rio, he was a beast, but they were unlucky not to win bronze, and now they got what they deserved in Tokyo. So once again, congratulations to Australia. And for Slovenia, as I said, it will be difficult to qualify in the future, but when Luka Doncic is 22 years old, you can look ahead and think that maybe if there will be some more players coming in the following years, they can still have a quality team. And Doncic learning his lessons from this tournament in the future might be even better, more mature, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, you made a great comparison between the leaderships. When it takes Patty Mills, he always seemed to be so focused, so calm, so disciplined, so determined, and it seems like it transmitted to the rest of the guys. And when we were watching the game, it seemed like the Slovenians, not just seemed like, it was like that. Slovenians were outworked, outrun, out-rebounded, out-hustled, everything, just out everything. And it was also a big part of Slovenians being worn out. But at the same time, as we said, that Slovenians led Luka's leadership in terms of his game style, in terms of him being so easygoing and involving everybody into the game. But at the same time, it seemed like that Luka's energy, he was really tired. And it seemed like that energy also transmitted to his team but in a bad way, because we saw more examples, more bad examples on Slovenian team, differently from Australia, where that what the experience means, that what true leadership means, and that's what probably Luka has to learn from a great guy like Patty Mills, because he's a great leader, not only on the court but off the court too. He's a great personality. He does a great job with his community also, both in San Antonio, both in Australia. So I'm so happy about him winning this medal, because, as I mentioned, when he started it all in Beijing in 2008, and it actually took him 13 years. That's a hell of time.
Hell of a journey.
Yeah, hell of the journey actually. So it's well deserved, and I hope that Slovenian will also have their time in the future.
I'm actually super excited to see Patty Mills playing with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, because both are like top 5 of my favorite players right now. And another thing, like maybe wrapping up this bronze medal game, I can only imagine Andrew Bogut watching this game, and I believe he was feeling like he's with these guys. He was also there in all these painful losses they took in the past, and we know he was really heart and soul of this team, how important he was for the squad. And Aaron Baines was injured. Andrew Bogut retired, because 2 years ago there were some questions. Maybe he will still play in his last Olympics. He didn't. But, it's probably not possible to do that. But I believe if it was possible, they should send through DHL the bronze medal also to Andrew Bogut, because he is the face of this team, I would say. Patty Mills, we're talking about him. He was the flag bearer for Australia in these Olympics. It's an amazing recognition for him. But Andrew Bogut, for me, he was still part of this team, even though he was not playing and even though he was not there physically. I don't know, maybe you read Twitter, maybe Andrew already reacted and said something. We know he's a very emotional guy.
He congratulated his guys. What was interesting, that he was actually one of the commentators of Australian games. But what was really weird, that before the game, he announced that he won't be commentating the bronze medal game, because there was something like a contract of, I don't want to be wrong, but something like for 5 games. How many games they played in this tournament?
In the group stages, quarterfinal, semifinal. So 5 games, and this was their 6th.
Yeah, so it was something like a contract for 5 games. I don't know. I have no clue how the hell it happened, but he was not commentating this game because it was already out of the contract. So
wow.
it was a big shame, for that TV channel who didn't make things to work out in this situation. But when you mentioned Bogut, I think that he's kind of a godfather of this team. He was a big part of this culture. I think that he was a big part of this culture, because he was building this culture. And when we talk Patty Mills, Joe Ingles, Andrew Bogut, there's no surprise why guys like Matisse Taiboul, or the same like Dante Exum, Jack Landale from 2019, how well and how fast they adjust to the national team, because it's also a big part of their culture. I remember I had an interview with Landale in 2019 when he just signed the contract with Žalgiris, and he told that from the day one he felt as he was playing with all these guys for 10 years, because that's the way how they introduce you to their system, to their locker room. The great example was Ben Simmons, again, skipping the summer with the national team. There was a lot of emotions in Australia. There was a lot of criticism towards Ben Simmons. But Patty Mills stood up and told that they weren't gonna judge him. They are waiting him in the future, and it's not part of their culture, to blame somebody. So it's just amazing. Australian basketball, Australian national team, and Boomers specifically has an amazing culture to follow, and it's very unique in this basketball world.
Well, we talked about Ben Simmons in our previous podcast, but I would like to still talk a little bit more about the other guy from Philadelphia 76ers, and it's Matisse Thybulle. We kind of remember those dunks from today. But in general, can you imagine how high is the ceiling for Matisse Thybulle if he improves his jump shot? And I believe he will improve his jump shot, because it doesn't look bad. His jump shot is normal. He's just not hitting very good percentages so far. Because with this potential, with his athleticism, with his defensive abilities, all he needs is a jump shot, and maybe needs to be better as a ball handler a little bit. So he can be the future star for this Australian team when, let's say, Paddy Mills and Joe Ingles decides that it's enough for them. Because in this tournament, this was the first tournament for Matisse Thybulle, he showed a lot of good things. And in this bronze medal game, he was so tough. Once again, it seemed like he was playing for the Australian team like 5 or 6 years, even though it was his debut.
I fell in love with him before the tournament. I watched some exhibition games, and I saw what kind of game changer Matisse Thybulle is for Australia. As I have told, he, let's say, takes his team to a different dimension. The dimension where Australians they never played like that. I mean, they had such a huge impact on perimeter defense, on defense and overall, in athleticism, in length on the court. Him and, of course, Dante Exum, he's following him also very nicely. There are some other players to come for Australian national team in the future. It just gives, so much quality on the defensive end for the team. And as you said, if he improves his jump shot, so, it's going to be just, he's going to be a spectacular player.
Yeah, and I still have one last thought about Slovenia. When Luka Doncic is at his best, Klemen Prepelic looks like an elite shooting guard that should get an NBA contract. Mike Tobey looks like an elite center that also should get an NBA contract. Vlatko Čančar looks like a player who should get 15 or 20 minutes on Denver Nuggets. Other guys look like solid EuroLeague role players. But when Luka Doncic is not at his best, these guys that I mentioned look like the level they actually are. Some Eurocup players, some FIBA Champions League players, Prepelic, a decent shooting guard from EuroLeague. Mike Tobey, good but kind of limited center, also from a mediocre EuroLeague team. This is their actual level. But when Luka Doncic is playing his best basketball, these other guys start to look better than they are. And, we had many examples in the past when players, after a very good tournament with a national team, get a big contract. So Luka Doncic can actually make some contracts for his teammates in the future if he continues to play for the national team, if they qualify for major tournaments.
He should get 10% of their deals, at least 10%. I remember
Agent Luka.
Yeah, Agent Luka. I remember that. I think that Klemen Prepelic signed a deal with Real Madrid after the Eurobasket 2017, right?
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, because 2017 it was also an interesting story, and I think we kind of forget it sometimes that Luka Doncic got injured in the final. He could not help his team. He was crying. He was hiding his face with a towel. And it was Goran Dragic that led them to victory, and they became the European champions. So
Dragic actually also got injured in the end of the game, so it was an amazing final.
So Luka's medal games right now are like this: a Eurobasket final, which he basically missed because of injury, and a bronze medal game in the Olympics where he was just too tired and too nervous, and he couldn't handle his emotions. So we know that he won 17 games in a row with the Slovenia national team, but actually we still haven't seen him carrying his team in a game that is the most important, that is for gold or for bronze, just for a medal or for a trophy. So there's still some room for him to prove how good he is in the future.
One last thing about Doncic. As you mentioned, his injury, he got injured in the semifinal game. And do you think that his hand injury had any impact on his last possession against France? Because there's
No,
a huge discussion if
no,
either he had to take that shot or the pass was good and stuff like that.
no. He made the right decision. If you see it again, if you watch the replays, Rudy Gobert was guarding him, and Nicolas Batum was going to help Rudy. So basically, Luka Doncic was forced to make a pass to his open teammate, which was Klemen Prepelic at this time. So it's just all credit to Nicolas Batum because he managed to recover and block Klemen Prepelic. I think Luka made a logical basketball decision. The only other option would have been to shoot over the hands of Rudy Gobert and Nicolas Batum. So it would have been a very difficult shot in a game where his step back jump shots were not working. He was 5 from 18 in this game. So I don't think it was because of injury. I think it was because he is a smart player and he doesn't need to be the hero who makes the last shot. I know it's like an American narrative that the best player on the court always has to make the shot, the final shot. It doesn't matter the circumstances. But if we actually look at some examples, LeBron James would definitely trust his teammate if he's open. Michael Jordan gave it to John Paxson or Steve Kerr because that was the right play. And Luka Doncic made the right play. And what happened then, all credit goes to Nicolas Batum, in my opinion.
In my eyes, it was a perfect decision because when you think that if, for example, Prepelic was just a little bit faster basketball player, just a little bit more athletic basketball player, he would make that layup. There was no
or
chance.
Or at least draw a foul, at the very least. But once again, Batum, he's the captain of the French team. He's heart and soul of this French team. So
my only question was if they made the right choice trying to set that. I think it was a Spanish pick and roll set. Because the reason why Batum was so close and came with the help for Rudy was because Prepelic was still continuing that Spanish pick and roll set. He was doing a back screen, and it seemed like it didn't turn out how they wanted it. And Prepelic was also not very determined with his screen. He just did it just to do it. But I think that it was not the best set in the end of the game because, again, it led to the situation where there was too much traffic in Doncic's way, to the basket. But in that situation, in my eyes, Luka did the right choice.
Well, I don't want to overanalyze it, but they did not have this possession after a timeout. Maybe if they had a timeout and then the possession with 19 or 20 seconds left, they would have, I don't know, played something different. Right now, they stopped the French possession and they got the ball and they played searching for the best opportunity. And like I said, I just don't want to overanalyze it. It is a legendary block that will go down in history, and that's all I care for.
Let's go to the gold medal game. And yeah. I have to say that since it started very early, and I think that they had something like 7 or 8 hour gap, between the final game and the medal ceremony. So the first thing which I thought about was like, if we were in 1992 and if Lithuania was winning the gold, Arvydas Sabonis and all the other guys wouldn't show up for the medal ceremony.
Well, he didn't make it for bronze. So,
yeah, exactly.
So you can imagine if they won gold and had 8 hours to celebrate in advance.
So I was surprised that I saw all 12 guys on the podium.
It seemed like this game actually was yesterday or even 2 days ago. But, it's still kind of fresh. It's still from this morning, so we can probably remember those key moments.
It was the closest final game for Team USA, actually. In 2012 or 2008, it was a good final against Spain. Team USA won by 7, and now 5 points. It was the closest final they had. So do you think, it was as close as we saw on the scoreboard? Or, for me, for example, I was watching the game and all the time, despite the, only single-digit margin, I was feeling like, it was always Team USA game, all 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was feeling that as well. But, I have to say, France played even better than in that first group stage match, which they won. Just that the Americans are a lot better now than they were a couple of weeks ago. And Vincent Collet in this game, as a coach, he probably never gets this recognition. It's always Tony Parker or Boris Dia or Nicolas Batum. It's always the players, the talent that's winning medals for them. But, his in-game decision-making, I was really impressed. Every time Team USA made a run, Vincent Collet would take a timeout and they would come back with something new. It was not working for them, searching for penetration with De Colo and Fournier. So in the second quarter, when they had like 12-point deficit, they started just feeding Rudy Gobert, and that kind of got them back in the game. That kind of almost evened the scoreboard. In the second half, once again, Team USA makes a run. They are up by 14. It seems like it's almost over. Then they go back with a very big lineup with Mustafa Fall and Rudy Gobert playing together. And also, no De Colo, no Fournier, no Ertel. He's just going with these very athletic, physical guys, Luvavu Kabarov, Frank Nilikina, and Nicolas Batum. So it's a very strong lineup in terms of physicality.
It's like a random lineup on a video game, but it worked out so well.
Yeah, but once again, gets them back into the game. And Coach Popovich, I believe, every time when he sees something like this, he should be surprised, because I don't think that American coaches expect things like that to happen in a game, because usually American coaches are more those type of coaches that prepare a game plan, and there's not much in-game decisions made trying to change something. So Vincent Collet deserves huge respect for this whole tournament and for the final as well. And of course, the players, their character, they never give up. It's very easy to give up when you're down by 14 playing against Team USA and start thinking like, well, we got silver medals, so it's already great Olympics for us. And okay, we're losing to a better team. We're losing to Kevin Durant. So we're just going to shake hands with them and be happy with our silver medals. No, they played till the very end. And well, in the end, the Americans actually were playing with fire, because they had the gold medals in the bag. Drew Holiday misses a free throw. Damian Lillard misses a couple of free throws. Frank Ntilikina makes a dunk. It's a 5-point game. Then the out-of-bounds pass, I think it was Drew Holiday. He throws it to Nicolas Batum. De Colo hits a couple of freebies. So it's 10 seconds left and it's a 3-point game. You take a timeout, and then, I don't know, maybe the players themselves were not nervous, but I think those watching the game and supporting Team USA were kind of nervous, thinking whether they will make a good out-of-bounds pass this time. Will they find Kevin Durant or somebody else? Will Damian Lillard, if he gets the ball, hit these clutch free throws because he missed 2 previously? But it finished happily ever after for them, right? So they won it with a 5-point margin. Yes, I think, as you said, that it was not really a 5-point game in terms of quality. The Americans were really better. Once again, they were not shooting great. They were creating those opportunities, but not making some of these shots, especially in the beginning. But yeah, it was a well-deserved victory for them and a gold medal, which should be really special for Kevin Durant, because when he won in London or in Rio, they had a dream team, almost a very good roster, and they won the finals easily. Now they really had to fight for it. Kevin Durant had to carry this team in some moments, in the quarterfinal, in the semifinal, in final as well. And in his 3 Olympic finals, his points average is, I believe, 29.7. So his Olympic career is just as good as Carmelo Anthony's, and you can say that Kevin Durant is really one of the American Olympic legends, like Michael Phelps and all these other legendary athletes.
Yeah, he's a real Captain America, and I think that he made the case probably for the best Olympic basketball tournament player ever, because as you mentioned, he tied Carmelo with 3 gold medals. He won all 4 competitions where he played, including 2010 World Cup, where he was
Carmelo has bronze.
That's the case for Carmelo being the GOAT of the Olympics. But I hope that KD will play in Paris 3 years later. He will be 35, but I believe that he will have that kind of ambition to surpass Melo. But yeah, as you said, in all of these 4 finals, he averaged 29.3 points, both in the Olympics and FIBA World Cup. And as Pete Hurtado, Spanish basketball coach, tweeted, it was again a great tweet. He said that again the Olympic Committee forgot to give KD alien test. So I completely agree, because he was playing as alien, and he just made a great case for being the GOAT of the Olympics. I mean, in Tokyo he averaged 20.2 points on 53% shooting. In Rio, 19.4 on 58%, and in London, 19.5 on 49. And as we said, he always showed up when it really mattered. He showed up in all these games where it was tough for this team, especially in this tournament, where they were behind by double digits against Czech Republic, against Spain, against Australia. And all the time, KD time started, and he changed the game for so many times in this tournament. So it were not just, fake stats. He was a real difference maker. And I kind of agree that argument that if not KD, I'm not sure if Team USA was winning the gold. And okay, Draymond Green is doing his job right now. He told that he gonna tweet something about everybody who doubted them, and I'm kind of and I'm kind of afraid of what's coming next.
Well, when Draymond has a few drinks today, he should probably just stay off the internet, because he's probably going to tweet something he will regret.
I don't think that Draymond has any regrets.
Yeah, I'm joking, man. He's just a mentality monster. As good as he is physically, mentally, you cannot break Draymond Green. He always has the last word, and he will always have the last laugh. That's just how he is.
And you cannot break KD also, because again, he always show up for the clutch the moment. And if not him, who knows? I mean, all these games were pretty close, let's say. I mean, Team USA was always in some trouble, and if not KD, I'm not sure if they would have survived.
Yeah, well, probably without KD, they could look something like their team from 2019 China World Cup. And with KD, they go to different level, and it's a fact. And, Kevin Durant is kind of misunderstood as a human being, not as a basketball player. We know all these things from the past, like his burner account, when he would respond to his haters on Twitter from a fake account. And when he moved to Golden State, obviously people were angry at him for going to get some easy championships. Now he's trying to prove himself, to create his stronger legacy in Brooklyn. And what he did this summer with Team USA maybe turns back some of his haters to believers or supporters. Let's not forget that he made a comeback from an Achilles injury.
Oh, yeah.
When you see him move on that court, you couldn't say he had an Achilles injury 2 years ago in NBA Finals. For some players, an Achilles injury is not necessarily career-ending, but career-changing. It didn't change anything in Kevin Durant's game. He's just as good as he was ever. And he decided to dedicate the summer for the Olympic team, even though he was fighting in the playoffs without Kyrie Irving and without James Harden, playing 48 minutes against Giannis Antetokounmpo and then the Milwaukee Bucks. He was so close to making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe it would have been a different story, because if he wouldn't have stepped on the line with that shot against Milwaukee, maybe they would have went all the way instead of Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. Maybe Kevin Durant would join the team 2 days before the first game in the Olympics. So it was like inches, fine margins. But yeah, history is written. Holiday and Middleton, they became NBA champions and Olympic champions in less than a month's time, which is very impressive, which is a lot for these guys to celebrate. And just, there were so many doubters talking about this American team, saying that Australia can beat them, saying that France can beat them. They faced all these best teams that can actually fight with them. They faced Spain with their veterans that played in London and Beijing finals. They faced Australia, which was kind of the number one team to beat USA with their physicality and ambitions. And they faced France, which has Rudy Gobert, which has size, which has, once again, everything to try and match the Americans. So this was not an easy path to get these gold medals. They had to go through all these elite national teams, and they did it. So just congratulations. I was always saying from the very beginning, from the first game they lost, it's going to be okay. This team is going to be okay. They have Kevin Durant. They are playing team basketball. They trust each other. They share the ball. And it is okay for them. They're celebrating today.
Yeah, I mean, that's what real champions do. They prove people wrong. They face doubters. But yeah, it was fully deserved win. As you mentioned, nothing was easy. Quoting famous Zaza Pachulia, nothing was easy. And as you mentioned, they beat all the best teams except from Slovenia. As a fan, I would love to see Slovenia game in quarterfinals against Team USA, before they were, worn off. Because
I'm sorry, man, but if Slovenians cannot do anything to Patty Mills, what would they do to Kevin Durant? Like Vlatko Čančar would take care of business?
We are talking about tired Slovenians,
Yeah, but man, they don't play any defense at all. Like teams like Australia and France, there is a reason why we say that they can match the physicality and athleticism of the Americans. Slovenians just play beautiful basketball, but against Team USA, I believe it would be the scoreline of 122, 105.
Which is fun. I mean, I'm not saying that Slovenians were about to beat USA.
Slovenians wouldn't do any better against America than France did. That's my opinion.
Yeah, hats off to the USA. Sorry, Melo, but KD is the GOAT. Unless we need to make a video review, right? Like Nando De Colo would love to have one. I mean, he was the ambassador of video reviews.
Nando is a super intelligent basketball player, and I love him so much. His career is amazing. But it's funny when these great players, well, they don't need to know the regulations of the video assistant system, right? But when they ask to review an out-of-bounds play with 3 minutes played in the first quarter, it's really funny. Because, I mean, we as commentators or journalists know very well, and the viewers, I believe, they also know that the referees can only check it with less than 2 minutes left, and that's it. Nando De Colo is always going with this like he's a football player asking for a penalty. I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. I agree.
And let's have a very early look at the future, specifically Paris 2024. Probably it's very tough to talk about what Team USA will have for these Olympic Games. We can only mention, the most important thing is if KD is playing or not. So as we mentioned, KD will turn 35 at the time of the next Olympic Games. And then for sure, we can be clear that they will, build a great, nice roster, and they will be title again, the contenders again.
Well, it's very difficult to predict the American roster, as you said. Next year or 2023, we will not know anything. Also, it will be clear only when the summer comes. But I believe that for Kevin Durant, I don't know if he will be so motivated about his 4th gold medal in the Olympics. It depends on what he does in the following years with the Brooklyn Nets. But there are these young superstars growing up. Zion Williamson probably should.
Jason Tatum was great in this tournament.
Yeah, and in the final, he was amazing in the semis as well. So players like Devin Booker, it can be their team. They got this experience this summer. They are Olympic champions already. It should be easier for them if they go for the second time. But there are these young faces like I said, Zion Williamson, other players coming through the drafts every year, and they should be a different team. I don't know if Kevin Durant at the age of 35 will be there still. It depends on him only. If he wants, of course, he will be there. It doesn't matter who will coach them. It should not be Greg Popovich in 2024.
Yeah.
So but it's difficult to talk about the American roster because they will have plenty to choose from. That is their advantage in comparison to other teams. If, let's say, two best players say no to the France national team, the quality drops. The same is for Spain, for Australia, or for any other team. But if with Americans, if Bradley Beal doesn't play, well, they change him with someone else. If some other superstars decide not to play, they will find other guys. They have a lot to choose from. The talent pool is very deep.
Yeah, so that's why it's more interesting to check what our teams will have. And we can talk about France, which actually has a nice future. Most importantly, this French team is building on a very strong foundation, which starts from 2019. Many of these players from bronze medal team in China were on this Olympic squad. And again, they improved for a silver medal. And probably it's fair to say that this is the best team in Europe at the moment. They have a complete roster full of great guards, creators, scorers, very good 3 and D players, wings. Bigs. They have everything on their roster, and it's very interesting to see what other talents will join them. Because, for example, Rudy Gobert is still gonna be 32, Evan Fournier 31. You have Gershon Yabusele, who is improving, and he's going to be only 28. Luvavu Cabarrot, who had a great tournament, will be 29. And then we probably can check the pool of young guns like Wembanyama, going to be 20. And it's going to be very interesting to see, what kind of talent he will be in 3 years. Theo Maledon, 23. Killian Hayes, 23. It's Sekou Doumbouya, 23 also. It's very early to say if they're going to turn into great players. But as I said, there's a very interesting young players coming up for the Team France.
Well, they always have talent. And, they are developing in the French league. They go to the NBA usually. Every single draft, every single year has at least one French player. And a player like Matthew Strazel, let's say, it wouldn't surprise me if in the following 2 years he would become a solid EuroLeague player. He has everything. He's very talented. So another thing which is very important, I believe, the Olympics will be in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
So they definitely will have their best roster. And guys like Nicolas Batum and De Colo, I think they would go for their last dance if they are healthy.
Batum will be 35. And
De Colo will be 36, 37. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that De Colo should be the key player when he's 36 or 37, but he can help the team in many ways. And, we have good examples of Manu Ginobili and some other players. Age is not a problem as long as you're healthy. With this talent and basketball IQ, you can still help the team. So I believe they will have the motivation. The Olympics are in Paris. This is your only chance in your career to play an Olympic tournament at home. It's a big thing. It's a huge deal, I think. And these young guys, they will join. And Rudy Gobert will still be at his peak. Yabusele, Luvavu Cabarrot as well. And they will be just as strong or maybe even stronger than they are now. A lot depends, of course, on Wembanyama. He's a very exciting prospect, but you never know with these type of players whether he'll be already superstar level in 3 years or in 3 years we will be still talking that he still needs to learn and still needs to grow as a player. So we'll see. But definitely France will be in the elite for a long, long time. Let's say the next Eurobasket, I think some of the superstars players will probably skip it. We will not see the best rosters in this next Eurobasket for obvious reasons, because in international basketball, Olympics is your main focus. So with the qualifying system right now, you should focus on the World Cup, and then the Olympics and the Eurobasket kind of becomes less important. Yeah, so that's what I think about their future. It's good for them. For they're covered for long years in advance.
Yeah, and it probably the next Eurobasket gonna be a great chance to try all these young guns. Resting the core players, the more experienced players. So yeah, it's gonna be a nice show up for all these young guys.
Another thing, very quickly, I respect the France Basketball Federation for trusting Vincent Collet. Actually, it would have been very easy to fire him after what happened in 2017 Eurobasket. They lost to Germany.
I was surprised that he remained as the head coach. Actually, I thought that he's gonna lose.
But he trusted him, and he has the trust of these key players in the team. Good chemistry, and especially in this tournament, Vincent Collet really showed that tactically he's as good as anybody else in international basketball.
I agree. And when it takes Australia, that's the team which concerns me a bit, because with all the love to Patty, he will be 35. Joe Ingles will be 36. Dellavedova, if he won't, change the direction of his career, he's gonna be 33, and I'm not sure if he's gonna make the team with the game he shows at the moment. Baines will be 37, and all these players, especially Patty and Ingles, were so important for this team in terms of giving their team creativity, playmaking, experience, and high IQ. I love all these young players coming up, like Tybull, he's gonna be 27, Exum 29, Jock Landale 28, Josh Green 23, Josh Giddey 21. Who knows what will happen with Ben Simmons? He's gonna be 28. I love what all these guys can offer, but if you exclude Patty and Ingles, I kind of start missing, that basketball IQ, which was always, let's say, the flag of this national team. It was the identity of this team. They're gonna be more athletical, more physical, faster, probably more mobile. But if they will be as clever, as if they're gonna share the same kind of chemistry on the court, that's a big question for me.
Well, but it's kind of hard to predict when we don't have a very good knowledge of the Australian league and what talents are playing in there and what young players could come from the Australian clubs in the following couple of years, because Australian league always produces tough players who are prepared for the highest level. And it wouldn't surprise me if some new guys, some new faces, we will discover them in the next few years in the NBA or maybe in Europe. I don't know. And Patty Mills, the Olympic Patty Mills is just so amazing. Why not trying it again? Why not? 35 years. It's not like at the age of 35 you cannot play anymore.
Yeah, the Scola, had a great tournament at 34, so.
Patty takes care of himself. Patty looks like a very professional guy who really cares about his body. So in 3 years, I think he could still give a lot to this team, if he wants, of course. Joe Ingles is a different story, I would say. Joe Ingles, even in this tournament, it seemed like he's declining a little bit. In the past, he was really good playing the pick and rolls with Andrew Bogut and Aaron Baines. And then when there's no Bogut and no Baines, Joe Ingles looks good, but not as good as he can be with a very strong big, like he has Rudy Gobert, let's say, in Utah Jazz, and he plays pick and rolls with Rudy. So I don't know about Joe Ingles, but I do believe that Patty Mills could be just as good in the next Olympics. And watching him and his energy and everything, maybe 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Who knows?
Scola, right?
yeah, definitely. So it's really difficult to say about Australia. well, they will qualify for the Olympics, that's for sure, because it's not that hard for them. But I'm just expecting that the Australian League will provide some good quality players, because right now these guys that do not play in Europe or in the NBA, like Nick Kay or Chris Golding, they are tough, they are prepared, they are skilled, they are good
They're good
players.
role players, yeah.
I could imagine them on good European teams, but Australian basketball players, they love their culture, they love to play at home. Usually, even those great players like Andrew Bogut, they finish their careers at home in Australia. And you touched the topic of Ben Simmons. Who knows? Maybe in 3 years, something happens, something clicks, and he becomes more mature. He, I don't know, kind of decides on his NBA career. He might land on a different team, and he says to himself, like, now it's time for me to do another thing. Finally play for Australia and play it the right way. It could happen. Why not? Because right now, Ben Simmons, what we see from him, he doesn't look like a player who would fit in this Australian team. But in 2024, maybe he will be better.
Okay, I hope so. But tell me if you're as optimistic about Team Spain, which has Gasol brothers retiring, Chacha, Rudy. I don't see them in 3 years in Paris. Also, Sergio Llull probably is going to be retired by that time. And they have Victor Claver. Well, he I think that at 35 he can still play and he can help for Spanish national team in Paris. They're gonna have of course Usman Garuba, he gonna be 22, Juancho 28, Willy Hernan Gomez 30, then Abalde 28, Alacen 23, Abrinas 30, Oriola 31, and the biggest question mark is on Ricky Rubio, because the future is Ricky for sure, but at the same time the future is tricky, because at least after the last game of Team Spain, there was a report in Marca that Rubio was very close of skipping this summer with the national team because of some personal reasons, and that the Team Spain had a really tough time in convincing him to play, and they have some doubts, at least per report, that he will continue to play for the national team, because he wants to focus on his NBA career. Since he was traded again, he wants to improve his game, to take care of his body. And that might mean that he won't be available for the national team, which surprised me a lot, because I thought that Ricky is 100% Team Spain player for life. He has so many years left in his tank. But if he's not ready to help them, Spain is in trouble, I think, no? When it takes teams like Australia, France, Team USA, that would be really hard for them to compete against on such a high level.
Yeah, it's an end of an era. It's obvious, and probably Coach Scariolo will step down at some point. I'm not sure if he would be coaching them in the next Olympics.
His contract runs through 2024, so that's a good sign for them.
But we see that he's making a comeback to the club basketball. He is now the head coach of Bologna, and Bologna should become a EuroLeague team in the following years as well. So it's not 100%. I would say that Sergio Scariolo would be coaching them still. And when you were dominating the European basketball for 20 years with all these great players, they were so far in the 21st century the second best team after USA. That's a fact. And it's impossible to believe that new Gasol brothers will be there and some other legendary players can be replaced easily, even though the Spanish ACB league is great. There is talent, there are young players. When they play in these FIBA qualifying windows, they really win kind of easily with these guys from not elite Spanish clubs, right? But I think for the coming years, they are doomed to be a team of like good level, but not elite. France is the best right now in Europe. It looks like this. Slovenia will have the best European player. Serbia is just amazing if they have all these guys together. And You could put Spain then close to teams like Lithuania even. Well, it depends a lot on Usman Garuba, let's say, how he will develop in the NBA, because he could be their next go-to guy for a lot of years, but
In
it depends on
defense,
what.
like
Well,
Rudy for France.
once again, it depends on how he develops his offensive skills. And it's interesting if they could call up, let's say, Nikola Mirotic. He has the Spanish passport. He doesn't look very motivated now, but maybe if you talk to him and say, look, like, it's your last chance to play at the Olympics. There are no Gasol brothers anymore. You will not be in the shadow of somebody else. You would be our main player probably, and you would play with Ricky Rubio and try to do something good in these Olympic Games. But with Spain, you cannot take for granted that they will qualify for the Olympics, actually. With France, I believe they would qualify one way or another. With Serbia, even, I would say that. But with Spain, I couldn't say right now that they will definitely play in Paris after 3 years.
I agree, because when it takes our teams, main players of Serbia, Greece, Turkey, even though,
Yeah.
all these leaders of these teams gonna reach the peak of their careers. For example, Nikola Jokic will be 29, Vasilij Micic 30. There's a lot of talent around them. In Greece, Giannis will be 29. The main question is probably what kind of group he gonna have around him, because Kalaitis will be 35. Okay, Papagiannis 30, I guess.
But they will have the Kalaitzakis brothers, so they will be all right.
Okay. I see you like Kalaitzakis, right?
Oh,
Which
well,
one?
They played in, the one that played in Kėdainiai and got drafted with number 60. So, yeah.
Yorgos Kalaitzakis.
Yeah, Yorgos. Yeah.
So, yeah. Greece can be
but it's good
that point guards.
It's good that you mentioned Greece. Because, if the Greek freak ends his career without playing in the Olympics for Greece, and we know he's a patriot, he loves Greece. But if he doesn't play for Greece in the Olympics ever, you would feel kind of empty, thinking that there's still this missing piece in his amazing legacy. He's already an NBA champion. And I really hope to see him at least in one Olympic Games. And probably he has 2 more windows left. It's Paris and Los Angeles.
I agree. And as I said, I believed he's going to have that ambition to make the Olympics. I have no doubts about him. I just have doubts about his supporting cast, because in recent years, they're lacking upcoming players. Okay, Papapetro also going to be older, but I mean, I don't see enough creators. I miss guys like Slukas, like Spanoulis. I mean, it was amazing backcourt. Now, after them, I don't see the next generation showing up.
Donatas, how about this idea? You just make a roster of Antetokounmpo brothers, like put 12 Antetokounmpo brothers in the team, because as far as we know right now, there are 5 of them, right? Or 4?
At least 4.
Yeah.
At least 4.
So maybe there are some 6 others we don't know about yet, and they will blossom in the next few years, and we will find out, because at first we knew Giannis, then we saw that, this guy Thanasis is playing basketball, right? Then there's this guy Kostas coming from somewhere, and now this
Alex?
other Alex. So maybe there's another, I don't know, Vasilis Antetokounmpo somewhere.
Let's make this separate national team of Antetokounmpo brothers.
Yeah, and they would dominate. All these guys being athletic, they can switch everything on defense, and they just score 80% of their baskets with dunks.
Or
how about this?
Space Jam 3. Or who knows, maybe they might get a passport, for example, for a backcourt player. I'm not sure if Greek fans like this idea.
Have they ever done it? I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
I think that they are, with Lithuania and Serbia and some other teams, the ones that didn't do it. I don't remember an American player playing for Greece.
There is Tyler Dorsey.
Who with the citizenship, right?
A Greek passport. I just don't remember the story why.
Okay.
Just a second. He played for junior national team, so
Mhm.
You
Well,
cannot, you know, he's
Nicolaitis,
not Mike Tobey who didn't know where
yeah,
Slovenia is before the tournament.
Nicolaitis is in a way American, but it's kind of like Daniel Hackett in
Yeah.
Italy. He's not a naturalized player. He's a legit Greek citizen, right? So I'm not sure about that. We cannot speculate really what the Greek Basketball Federation thinks. But I agree with you that there is a lack of talent coming through the ranks of Olympiacos and Panathinaikos. We don't see too many young players. The veterans are stepping down, and there are no young guys that could really fill the void.
The last, let's say, young guy was probably Dinos Mitoglou, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then there's a huge gap.
it's funny how we were talking about Spain and now we're talking about Greece for like 7 minutes.
We can talk about basketball for hours, probably.
yeah, man, for sure.
We didn't even start talking about Turkey, so.
Yeah, well, let's not go into that. Maybe for later. We have our Turkish colleague who could provide a lot of insight, I believe, on Turkish basketball, and we have Yorgos for Greek part.
For sure.
So what's left? Slovenia?
We already discussed Slovenia
a little
situation.
bit, right?
Doncic will be 25, Chanchar 27, Prepelic 31, Toby 29. So, as I said, it's only a matter of if they will qualify to the tournaments, because all of these players are either NBA or EuroLeague players, and that makes their situation pretty unpredictable.
Yeah.
And this is
any other teams you think?
I mean,
Argentina with Scola.
They're gonna have all these backcourt players again. I mean, they're gonna qualify through the American championship, I guess.
Yeah. But I think those teams, Argentina and also Brazil, in the past, Brazil had some good squads. They're not going to be as good in the future. I cannot imagine legendary players like Scola, Ginobili, Nocioni, Barbosa, and all these other guys from Brazil or Argentina being replaced by other legendary players. So the level of Olympic basketball tournament could be a little bit lower if, let's say, South American or Asian teams will not be very competitive.
Yeah, so the question remains the same. If we will have Olympic basketball tournament as we had in all these years, maybe they change it with 3-on-3 or put it, only juniors for that tournament. I hope that won't happen, because I don't know how about you, but I really enjoyed this Tokyo experience.
Yeah, me too. I mean, if they will go for this idea, and FIBA probably wants it to make the World Cup the main event of the international basketball, I don't think it will work, because it will be harder to motivate Americans with the World Cup. They want the gold medal. They know the value of a gold medal, right? So they send their best squad. But the World Cup, I'm not sure, and for other countries maybe as well. But in Paris, I'm confident we still have normal basketball events with 12 teams. We discussed previously that 16 teams would work much better, but okay, let's live with 12 right now. And other than that, it would be really interesting to see in the 3-on-3 basketball Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, James Harden, and I don't know, Bam Adebayo playing against Nikola Jokic, Vasilija Micic, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and then Nemanja Bjelica. 10 minutes game. And then, of course, still Latvians with Chavars and Krumins taking the gold medal, because they know the 3-on-3 rules much better, and they got used to the size of this ball, and they are just better in this.
Okay, man. So I think
I'm starting to talk absolute nonsense.
Like you're drunk, So
I'm really tired, and I cannot believe some of these things that are coming through my mouth, from my mouth.
Thanks for showing up in MVP form, in MVP shape, for commentating all these games through all these days, from the morning to the night. And Ritas, just take some rest, okay? Because you start a bit, I'm starting being afraid of you a bit,
You should cancel this podcast right now before I say something I regret, okay? Just click it right now, okay?
Okay, I'm just canceling, and I just want to say thank you for our listeners and viewers. Before that, you can follow us on basketnews.com and also on YouTube and Spotify. it's over. We are finishing
Yeah.
it.